G'day guys, and welcome to another YouTube lesson. Today we're finished with influencers and we're going to move on to processes of marketing. Now be clear, when we talk about the process of marketing, we're discussing a marketing plan. So each of these processes from the syllabus, which we'll go through in a sec, they are the different parts to your marketing plan. It's probably in part why you see marketing objectives and developing marketing strategies in particular, those development of marketing strategies as part of the processes. All right, so it's what a marketing person, whether it be a manager or somebody working in marketing, would do in terms of developing a marketing plan. In the HSC, if you're asked a question about marketing plan, and you might think, well, where am I finding this information from? Nothing explicitly said to me. Marketing plan, these are the bits and pieces that you would run through, the stuff that you would include and talk about, i.e. the marketing plan in its entirety is the processes of marketing. All right, so what is involved in marketing processes? We've got 6 main steps. You start with getting a snapshot of how the business is traveling. That's the situational analysis. There's 2 parts to the situational analysis. You've got your SWOT, standing for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and you have your product or business life cycle. So those 2 are the main components in that first part of the plan, in that first step of the marketing processes, the situational analysis. The second part of the marketing processes is to conduct market research. As before, there's 2 parts to that. You have primary research that you can undertake or secondary research that you can use. And you're welcome as a business to use both of those, and that's probably recommended. And a third step in the process and a marketing plan is to establish clearly your marketing objectives. What is it in marketing terms that the business wants to achieve? Is it better brand recognition, improved positioning in the mind of the consumer, greater sales and profits? The main one, greater market share, percentage of that total market. You want to establish your marketing objectives. Following that, the 4th step in the plan and your processes is to identify your target markets. So you want to have a look at, in that mass market, which market segment would you choose to target and maximize your marketing budget, maximize your dollar, because you have finite resources in marketing, as all other functions or other aspects of business and the economy in general. Limited money, you want to use it wisely. Now, following that, you need to develop marketing strategies. As I said before, it makes sense from the context of you're making a marketing plan. You need to have in that plan what strategies you as a marketing team will utilize. All right, later on we will look at marketing strategies in far more depth, but your marketing plan incorporates what strategies you are likely to use. Now, the last step of processes and the marketing plan is to implement all the things we've discussed, to monitor what's happened and have in place effective controls. So you use implementation, monitoring and controlling. This includes things like developing a financial forecast, comparing actual and planned results, and then revising the marketing strategy. All right, let's get stuck into it and explain each of these in some depth so you get a good understanding of processes. I apologize up front. This will be a longer YouTube than usual because it's looking at all of the processes. So feel free to stop and come back, but make sure you yourself understand what each mean and understand that they're part of this greater marketing plan. All right, situational analysis. There's 2 parts to it. See if you can recall from me introducing it earlier on. What are those 2 aspects? Firstly, you tell me. You have a SWOT analysis. Well done. What's that stand for? It's got the internal components, things you've got a great deal of control over. So you've got your strengths, which are positive things the business brings, and you've got your weaknesses, bad things that your business has. Then you've got the external components, and that is your opportunities and your threats. And as of before with the internal parts to your business, your opportunities are external, but they're good things that are happening outside, like globalization or use of technology with your marketing that could be of benefit. Whereas threats, again, like opportunities, are external agents, but they're things that could have a negative impact on your business, like changing government policy, as we saw with manufacturing and tariffs being reduced, saw many Australian businesses not being able to compete. So they're external things that can happen that have a negative impact on your business. So as part of that situational analysis, that's getting a snapshot, little picture of how your business is traveling. One way to do that is through a SWOT analysis, looking at your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. Now, the next way to do the situational analysis is to conduct a product life cycle, or look at the business's product or business life cycle. There's a slight difference, but I won't get into that now. But we're not talking about the economic cycle. Just don't get confused. We're not talking about the ups and the downs in the economy. We're talking about the product or business life cycle. That's where you have the establishment, the growth, the maturity, where sales tend to plateau, and then the post-maturity, renewal, steady state, or decline. So this is very vital to see where your business is traveling and to ascertain, to see what's the next marketing move. You know, if you're in growth or you're in maturity, the marketing strategies you'd use would be very different. So it's giving us a good snapshot of where you're at and what needs to be done. All right, the next stage, as I mentioned already in this plan or the processes, is market research. There's two main types of market research. That is primary data or primary research you can get, or secondary researches you can use. Now there's three stages though to market research. And again, a marketing plan finds out information about the business, and that's how you do it, through market research. So the first step in your market research is a business must have a reason or a question or objective to be met. Then the market research will attempt to do this, such as what age groups would like the newest iPhone that Apple's going to create. The second step or stage in market research is the business will choose the methods by which to conduct the research, i.e. primary or secondary, or a mix of the two. The third stage in market research, the business will make meaning of the research. This is called, not surprisingly, data analysis and interpretation. You've got those findings and you're going to analyze what you're seeing. Now, I made mention of primary and secondary data just a second ago. What am I talking about? This is what primary research is, or primary data, when it comes to market research. Refers to information that is collected for the specific purpose for which it will be used. I'll give you an example of primary data or primary research. If I am Myers and I'm conducting research to find out some information current at that point in time, that is primary research. Whereas secondary data or secondary research, this is the definition, and I'll explain it to you in a sec. Secondary data refers to information that already exists, having already been collected for another purpose, or information that you acquired, got from another source, like the Australian Bureau of Statistics. All right. So an example for secondary data or secondary research, Myers again, they might have a question they wish to answer about an upcoming product line. If they go and find out some more answers and they research some people and survey some people again, that's not secondary, that's primary. But if they look back 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or a couple of years ago, for a similar-ish question, they conducted the research themselves still, that makes it secondary because it wasn't designed for that specific current purpose. You're just reusing or rehashing, could be useful, but rehashing, reusing previous research you've conducted. That therefore makes it secondary. The other main way secondary research happens is if Maya looks at some other information out there in the old interwebs, out there on the internet, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, that would be, again, not information that was obtained for Maya. There was information that was obtained for another purpose, say from the ABS, and Maya is making use of that information that was conducted in a census or something. That again would be secondary data, secondary research. Now there's three methods, ways of obtaining primary research. They are observational research, surveys, and experimental research. I'm not going to go into those today. Ask me if you need help with that. In class, I will go through them. Those notes are in your notes and also in your textbook information as well. But they're observational research, surveys, and experimental research. You may be asked the question in the HSC, distinguish between observational research and surveys. I don't think so, but you might. So please make sure you understand what each are. But I'm trying to cut this down from probably an hour to 20 minutes. So they're just three methods of primary research. Now, there are two methods of secondary research. They are internal sources and external sources. So whereas primary had the three methods or three main ways, observational, surveys, and experimental research, secondary research includes internal sources and external sources. I have already mentioned two examples that would explain those, but I will say them again. Internal sources of research in terms of secondary include information the business obtained itself. They were collected not for the specific current question the business is asking, but from one a few years ago that can be reused again that would make sense. Whereas external sources come from a different organisation. And it may have happened recently or it may have happened some time ago, but it's from a different organisation like the ABS, the Australian Bureau of Statistics, or the internet, books or magazines, anything that's from an outside source or agency. Now, as part of this market research, we need to have data analysis and interpretation. I mentioned earlier those three stages. So after a business has gathered the information it needed, it must then make sense of the meaning of it all. What does it mean? What have they got from it? You've got to extrapolate all this information and then analyze it, interpret the information. The business will attempt to analyze, interpret the data so that the management can gain a better understanding of the direct impact of that data on the business in general. They then will act upon this information. Now, the next step in terms of this marketing plan and the process is to establish clear marketing objectives. What does this mean? This refers to setting up and clearly establishing marketing goals, objectives for the future of the business, i.e., does the business want to increase its market share? Or does it want to expand into new geographical locations? Or both? Now, general marketing objectives, there's three main ones that we tend to talk about. There's probably an infinite amount, but three I want you to use in the HSC that are from the textbooks. Now, those three include, one, to increase market share. It's an objective that your marketing plan, that the processes look at. So the second one is to expand into new geographic markets. And the third is to expand the product range. You may seek to achieve in your marketing plan all three, or one or two out of those three. That's up to the business and the marketing team. So in terms of increasing market share refers to the percentage of total sales a business has compared to its competitors in a particular market. E.g., Coke wants to increase its market share from 58% to, 71%, something like that. 2, expand into new geographic markets. Some businesses may decide to expand the areas where their goods and services are being distributed to. This allows a business to increase sales, but more importantly, allows the brand or product to achieve a higher level of awareness amongst an increased number of customers. An example of this, Crumpler has now expanded from Australia into Europe and to North America. Telstra, many years ago, was mainly Australian, pretty much, but it expanded as part of its marketing objectives into many parts of Southeast Asia. And that's where it's seen the greatest growth. It saturated the Australian market. That third main marketing objective is to expand the product range. This refers to the extension of a business product range with a number of different types of products. E.g., Samsung now sells washing machines that apparently act as heaters as well. Maybe that joke is outdated now, not too sure, because they caught on fire. But they used to just sell mainly phones and TVs, but there's lots of different products that Samsung are now selling, and this again maximizes its sales, increases its profitability. Now, a big thing to understand is this thing called SMART. When you are trying to meet your marketing objectives, you need to make sure that you mention this in your exams. You must make sure you meet these SMART objectives, or you try to achieve these when you're looking at particular targets. So, what does SMART stand for? S is specific. You need to be specific about what you're going to do. It has to be measurable. M stands for measurable. A, it needs to be achievable. R, it has to be realistic. It has to actually be, realistically like it's going to occur. And T is time, the time frame. It has to be within an appropriate time frame. So you need to understand those three marketing objectives that a business wishes to obtain. That's in your marketing plan and the processes. And you must make sure to use those SMART objectives and at least make mention of them in your essays or when you're answering your short answer questions. The next step in the marketing plan, I'm trying to get through it quickly, I know it's been probably 20 minutes, is to identify target markets. This is a process that a business must go through to identify the market it wishes to target to, which is the group of people it wishes to sell to. Finding that specific market segment, all right, and targeting that is known as target marketing. There are three key market sizes a business can sell to. They are the entire whole mass market. A type of product where that might happen could be the electricity market. It's very homogeneous, the product. Or a business might try to target a specific larger market segment of that mass market, which could be, say, Triple M, that radio station, rock radio station, old people like I listen to. They might try and target a market segment, a larger part of that mass market, so maybe a third of it or something. Or a business may wish to target, it's like a big target there, a thin sliver of that mass market, a very small market segment. It could be Vietnamese radio station, they're trying to target Vietnamese customers. There are a small number of Vietnamese speaking Australians, and therefore you won't get many customers, but there won't be a lot of competition too. So a business needs to think about in their marketing plan and identify specific target markets, whether it be a number of market segments, that whole mass market, or a very fine market segment. Now, to do that, how do you divide up your mass market? You need to divide up into different market segments. This process is called market segmentation. You grab your mass market, that big pie graph you would have seen in class, and you divide them up based on gender perhaps, men, women, and you target just blokes or just ladies. Could be based on certain ages, someone like myself, 17 years of age, 18. Perhaps not, perhaps more like 68. So you target certain ages or different religions or different geographical areas, etc., etc. But there's 4 main ways that we look at in business studies to divide up that mass market. Therefore, once that's done, you can target that segment. The 4 ways are demographic, socio-cultural, geographic, and psychographical. All right, so the first one, demographic. They do this based on demographics, the makeup, the composition of our country. Could be age or gender. Or you could use socio-cultural market segmentation, which is to be based on people's culture, people's religions, their background. Or you could divide up a market based on geographic. This is where people live and different markets in which you may wish to target. Psychographics, this is where, or this is based on someone's own personal interest or preference. So any of these 4 ways are different ways in which you can target a specific or divide up a mass market into segments and then target those particular market segments through that target marketing. All right, now the second last part of your processes and your marketing plan is to develop marketing strategies. This will be useful because very soon, next YouTube clip, we're going to take a look at some of these things, these marketing strategies. Now, what are the different marketing strategies that we can use? Well, there's the 4 P's, the standard, the price, the product, the promotion, the place. There's also the additional 3 P's that are associated with services. Now, you do need to have your marketing mix, which is your mix of different marketing strategies, the combinations of marketing strategies you will use. That needs to be in a successful marketing plan. So, just quickly, product. We're looking at the actual physical product you're creating or the service and the quality of the product, the image, the logo, etc. That needs to be looked at and addressed in your marketing plan. The price, how much you will sell the product for. Low price to be able to have it cheap, but also to probably sell in large numbers. Or do you want high price and to have a prestigious product? That will be part of the marketing plan. Promotion, what promotional mix will you use? Again, a mix talks about the range of different promotional activities you will use. The standard advertising or relationship marketing. All right, will you have a range of different strategies? Publicity stunts, word of mouth, social media, and so on. The distribution methods. Will you go directly from the P to the C, the producer to the consumer? Will you have wholesalers in between? Will you have intensive or exclusive distribution? That's all in place, and that's part of the strategies you will look at. We're almost there, I promise. We're going to take a look at the last part of your marketing plan. We're being very patient. We're looking at the implementation of all the things we've mentioned, the monitoring, and then the controlling of what we've put in place. Now, you're often asked questions about definitions of these 3 things. So I will explain them, and then we'll talk about how they get put in your marketing plan. Implementing. Once the marketing plan has been devised, a business must implement, put in place the strategies contained in the plan. Put simply, implementation refers to carrying out what the marketing team has devised, such as how they will distribute the goods to the customer, the place, and how they promote the goods, i.e. via radio or television. So you're going to implement that. Then monitoring means to check and observe the actual progress of the marketing plan compared to the planned performance of the marketing plan. And the last part of that is the controlling. It's the process of comparing actual results the business had planned to achieve, as we saw before with monitoring, but in addition with controlling, putting in place various tools in order to effectively monitor the marketing strategies. Now, some of the tools that they could use to monitor and control a marketing plan are sales analysis, market share analysis, and a market profitability analysis. All right, some ways to implement monitoring and control include, and these are directly from the syllabus: develop a financial forecast, compare actual and planned results, and revise at the end, the key thing, to revise the marketing strategy. So, when developing a financial forecast, there are three key things that are often detailed that are in a financial forecast. They are a cost estimate, how much they think it will cost to be able to run a marketing campaign, a revenue estimate, basically the marketing manager will try and forecast and see how much revenue is likely to be made, and a sales estimate, looking at what is the forecasted sales figures. Now, comparing actual and planned results, there's three ways to kind of do this. You look at sales analysis, a market share analysis, and a marketing profitability analysis. Right, the final thing that we look at here is revising the marketing strategy. And we're having a look at what has worked well and what things have not worked well. And some things that can be done if stuff's not gone to plan is product modification, price modification, promotion modification, and distribution or place modifications. I apologise how long that took. Hopefully you learned something from it. See you next time.